we rise to the top. Can't stop this flow. In the heart of the jungle, we're ready, let's go.
You never know.
In the heart of the jungle, we're ready, let's
Welcome
go.
everybody to another episode of the Roundtable here with Ben. What's going on, man?
Not much, bro. What's up with you?
It's been an adventurous week.
It's been
Elections, had therapy. That's always a good time. Drama.
all the good things.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good segue, right?
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of drama
There's been a lot of drama. There's been a lot of hate.
yeah. Just let's just choose the election.
Yeah.
In its own level, people were upset. People were
Nasty. They
nasty.
were mean.
Luckily, I didn't see much of it that day. I wasn't
It was-
logged in, so I didn't see a lot of it.
Honestly, election day wasn't bad.
Okay.
I mean, nobody has anything bad to really say that day. I mean, if anybody follows my personal account, I'm trying to post more on the roundtable and stuff, guys. So be prepared for that. It's probably going to be gym and family activities, especially going into the holidays. We generally have a lot of family functions between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it gets insane, including Ben's birthday here.
Dang. Yeah, it's coming up. Huh?
Yeah, it is.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
I just barely did. Got my kids' birthdays, got Christmas, got your birthday. We got, Thanksgiving, cutting trees down. I mean,
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
all
yeah.
the freaking parties that everybody wants to have. and
Yeah.
Christmas Eve and, man.
Yeah.
But kindness,
Kindness.
That's kind of what we're going to, because this week has been full. I mean, and we're only talking half the week full of, I've either seen a lot of hatred from people or just not very kind people this week.
Yeah, I think a
Kind
lot
of in general, but this week's just been extra.
Yeah, I think that there's moments or times in life, in periods and events and stuff that bring in, I like to say, the real in people. People have always been this way. It's just I think people know that they're being nasty or mean or whatever, bullyish, bully, I guess.
Yeah, kind of.
I think and people don't stand for that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't. We should have the and we've talked about this. I don't remember what episode it was, but we talked about seeing the perspective from somebody else, right? And putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and just being being kind to each other. There's a level of respect that we must have with each other in order to function properly. And love is all into that as well. But I just think if you respect each other, you can come to an agreement that you just disagree on certain things and walk away.
I mean, that's ultimately what should happen, period. I mean, with anything. Well, be politics, be lifting, be weight loss, be starting a business. I mean, yeah, you're going to have haters. I mean, people are jealous, people are upset, people are, all this stuff because they're not taking the steps to do anything. But at the end of the day, I mean, have some compassion, have some kindness. I mean, coming from somebody that used to be a very rude person to people for absolutely no reason, and every now and then I'm still guilty as hell of it, and generally it comes to money or my family being hurt that I end up being the most vicious about. But even then I'm like, I can't lash out like that. It's not fair to the other person, even if they're being rude to me or my family. There's a root cause behind it, and me lashing back out to them isn't going to change anything.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good thing there too, where you talk about, sometimes we don't feel like, or let me take this back. It was just running through my mind where I was like, well, somebody can come back and say, well, I remember Dustin, I remember Ben when they were rude. What gives them the ability to talk about being kind? But I think if anything, it speaks volumes to why we have the authority and the willingness to talk about it, because we've grown past that person that we were, right? So if somebody, because I was just thinking in my head, I was like, yeah, somebody I know, because I was a freaking jerk. I was an asshole, to be honest.
Same.
And I heard a lot of people, like, with how rude and how immature I was with my emotions in those times of hatred or negativity. it gives me the authority now to talk about it, because I know that what that person was, who I was at that time, wasn't who I am now, and it's because of all of that hate that I had that I can speak now to say, like, yeah, like, you learn to channel those emotions in a more positive way. It doesn't necessarily mean I agree with you on everything. We don't see eye to eye. I know that you and I,
Yeah, we're
for the most part,
we're pretty similar.
Yeah, we're pretty similar. But even for my wife or a lot of my other friends, like, yeah, we don't, just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I'm going to be nasty to you. I'm going to be, totally degrade your. I think I've gotten to the point where I don't really feel like I need to, like, I won't stand on a hill if I don't feel like you're worth standing there, like, with you. Like, that's just me.
That's pretty fair though.
I just don't feel like, unless I see you, like, we're in competition, or there's some sort of, I can validate that, you're willing to go, like, we're actually going to have a good debate. But if you're just spewing shit just to spew it to hurt me, like, I really don't care. I don't feel the need to have to sit there and try to justify why I stand in a certain position. And I think the more kind you are, the more you can reciprocate kindness to somebody, then hopefully it can be reciprocated. But ultimately, there's just hateful people. There's just people that really want to hurt you. And I don't know why. I can only say a hurt person wants to hurt another person. That's just because I know that that's who I was. I just wanted to hurt you because I was hurt. I was projecting my own pain onto you, and misery loves company. That's just really what it was at the time. I don't know if you can relate to that or not, but
No, 100%. I mean, I probably pushed more people away the way I acted than I brought in because of that exact reason. I would just, instead of having a logical conversation, I was that person to spew off. And now, yes, again, like I admitted, I'm human. I still get pissed off, but I also have learned more, like you said, my place, my hill that I want to die on. It's like I had posted, I had a great conversation about politics, which is a hard one for people to talk about for some ungodly reason, with a great friend of mine. And she had some amazing perspectives. And at the end, we both are like, look, we found the common ground. We both agree on most things we said to each other. But we definitely feel differently about the candidates at that point, right? But at the end of it, neither of us had ill will towards the other. We had a great conversation. We voiced our opinions, and we moved on. I mean, even so much that she messaged my wife about it, to the point that it's like, I had a great conversation, because that's what we should have. And I don't see a point. I'm seeing less and less of a point to be mean to people. There's a time and a place that I think you have to be assertive. Maybe not necessarily aggressive would be the word, but you have to be assertive in what you're doing. And that mainly comes to like a business side of standpoint. But at the end of the day, you can still do it without being a freaking asshole.
yeah, I think also it comes with a level of trust in somebody, right?
Yeah.
I think for certain people, I feel like I can talk to a certain way, right? If I know, like with you, if I had something, I'm not going to call you out in front of a group of people. I'm not going to, I'm going to come to you in a certain way. But I think you don't, people can perceive a certain way of acting or talking to somebody as a not a nice thing. And I think, who was it? Ed Milet that said, how does he say it? Be a nice guy. No, be a good guy. Don't be a nice guy, or something like that. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So essentially, the way I take that is like, yeah, like I can talk to you a certain way with still with a level of respect, but tell you in a manner of love.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to degrade you. Doesn't mean I'm being not nice to you, but I might talk to somebody that I have more trust with in a more direct approach. Where with somebody that I don't, I'm always going to show you the respect, but I'm also going to, we can agree to disagree. Like, I'm not going to, degrade you or make you feel like garbage because we don't align in whatever perspective, like you said, whether it be gym or, I think even weight loss is, you and I are me and your wife have talked about this. We talked about this in Moab, how, sometimes the perspective on the way that you lost your weight can be a big hot topic of, how people perceive you. And I mean, I agree, right? There's certain methods that are harder than others, but in no way takes away from, if you made a decision, whatever, if the thing is available by all, but I'm never going to go up to somebody and be like, you
suck
you
because
suck
you did it
because
that way.
like, I don't care enough. I'm just proud that you're doing something to better, because you could have easily sat on your couch and done nothing. And so
100%.
I don't know. Like I said, I think maybe 12 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have been that person. But that was because I had insecurities. I had things that I wasn't working on that I always projected onto others. So being hateful or being mean was a way to bring somebody down with me and hope that they quit on their progression just so they can join my misery. And that's just the honest truth. And I feel like you have to let those things go. You have to allow your insecurities to leave your body and just be like, be happy for somebody. Like, I think that's a good point. I can be competitive with you, but that doesn't mean because you're posting something or because I'm seeing gains in you that I'm going to be like, oh dude, like, why are you doing that? Who do you think? Like, I should be happy for you.
Yeah.
And be like, oh man, way to kill it. Because the way I need to look at it is like, well, he's doing something that hey dude, what are you doing? Because I'm trying and I'm not seeing gains like you. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
ask questions.
Your perspective must change from judging others to wanting to learn from somebody else. That's an ego thing too. It's like, hey man, like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm doing what you're doing, and I just need to know how can I be like you, bro?
Right.
Like, I'm in competition with myself. I'm not like, yeah, I can use certain things to push me, but I think a lot of times people too will look at other people and be like, oh well, I hate that they're doing this and da 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 da. Social media is notorious for it, which is why it's a love-hate thing. But I think, yeah, just if you lead with love, if you lead with the actual mindset of like, I just want to learn from this person.
Yep.
You can be nice to them. You don't have to be a freaking jerk and degrade them. I'm going on a rant here, but I speak so much from it because I know that I was a freaking asshole. I was mean to people. I know, and I can tell you because I had somebody in that was in my 20s, and it was probably 10 years later, and it still stuck to me to this day. They came up to me and were like, man, I remember you. I'm like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, what's up? And I'm like, no, I remember you, man. You were cruel to me. Like, you made me, like, I hated high school because of you. And I had a hard time, and I really hated you. And I was like, oh damn. And I'd already changed. I was already a different person.
But that still hits you
hard.
hard.
That shit hurt, man.
Yeah.
Because I know that I had people in my life that was that person that I still remember to this day. Like, yeah, this person was an asshole. They were a jerk. And it stuck with me. And the fact that I did that to somebody else because of my own pain, that shit hurt me. And it stuck to me to this day.
You know what's really hard is I have some acquaintances that I knew in high school that I didn't care about because they were, well, we'll just say they were more fit. They were more athletic. They were getting the girls. I had a girlfriend, but.
Yeah, anyway, like the Playboy thing.
Yeah, they had that. And and if you watch this, I was very happy. And still I am, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But, they were the Playboy type guy, jock Playboy type guy. And, I built, not that, I tried not to bully a whole lot in high school and stuff. I was barely there to do anything, so it was less I had to do. But there was a certain point where, middle school and stuff, I was probably worse. High school, I was kind of like, you're going to do your thing. There's enough new people in this area. I'm not going to destroy you. And there's no reason for it. But I'm still the person that had a lot of anger issues, would lash out at people and stuff. But I have built a perceived notion of who they were. And there was a time back in my 20s and stuff that I'm like, life has humbled this guy finally. And it's like, I shouldn't be proud about that. I shouldn't be happy about that. Like, you know, unfortunately, a lot of high school athletes don't make it beyond high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. But there was a point, there's that point that I was getting to. Like, there's a lot of people, and some of them I'm still like, I have you on social and stuff. And I'm like, but I know there's a handful that'll come up on my suggestion. And I'm like, and I didn't know you. I really didn't care for you. But I'm also like, I don't need a whole bunch of acquaintances on my Facebook and stuff. I mean, same thing. I'm sure I've come across yours and you haven't done anything. So it's obviously we weren't close. People I want are there. But there was, and I wish I knew the episode and what exactly he said, but I was listening to Andy Frisella, and he was talking about how if you're jealous of somebody else's life, that's a reflection on you. And that hit me pretty hard because I've known some pretty cool people in my life. I mean, I haven't met quite the caliber that you have, but you know, I at the time there was one specific guy that I was always super jealous of. I worked for him when I was 15 too. And I was always super jealous because, I mean, at the time he had a nice house, had nice cars. I mean, well, now he has all this stuff. And that was the time I was feeling more jealous because he'd popped up Facebook, whatever, followed him. I'm like, man, this guy has all this shit. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm jealous. And then I listened to that episode and I'm like, hold up. Wait a minute. I need a 180 this. And I have ever since. And it's like, ever since then, I'm looking at this guy like, damn, man, I'm proud of you. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember when you were here. Like, and this wasn't even your beginning when I met you. I remember that. You'd already been working your ass off. You owned the place I was working. You owned the paintball shop I was at and I played at all the time. You and your wife owned that.
Yeah.
Like, and you've owned multiple other businesses that I've known of, and you've had this one that you've carried this whole time. And it's brought you to the point that you can have the life of luxury that you desire right now. And after that little clip, and I wish I could remember it, I can like picture myself at work when he's saying it. Like, that's how vivid this thing is stuck in my mind. I'm at work listening to it and I'm like, oh. And like, I remember kind of standing there for a minute like, whoa, that was a lot right there. And ever since then, it's like, man, I'm proud of you for that. I'm proud, like, because I genuinely am, though. It's not just like, oh, I'm proud of you because I want to. No, I'm genuinely happy. Like, it changed my whole mindset on how everything is. And it's like, damn, you worked your ass off to get there. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You've done the hard work to get there, to earn all this. I mean, and he came and we talked to him for like an hour after he came and got the quick spray tan for my wife, and he was here for another hour just talking about how things have been going with him. Because, I mean, I haven't seen him in 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, dude, it's awesome to see all your stuff. I love seeing your posts about this and about that and about that. And it's freaking cool that you can do that. And then, like, my quote-unquote adopted brother goes with him to do all this stuff, and it's cool to see all that. And I'm like, it's awesome that you helped him out in life, like all this stuff. And it's just having that mindset change to be more kindness and more proud has been quite a bit. And then through therapy, and I mean, we were talking about it the other day. I'm like, I know I'm a lot less angry. Because 2 years ago, I probably would have just disregarded anything that anybody said and just gone off on what we were talking about before this. I don't need to bring it up now, but, you know, I would have just gone off. And even down to me looking at everything and how pissed I was. Luckily, I was doing a demo in my house. So I'm like, if I break something, it's not the end of the world. I'd already planned on breaking everything down. I wasn't too worried about it. So, but at the same point, I'm like, me doing that's just more work for myself. Like, in the end, I'm like, it's not going to benefit me anymore. Like, the demo I'm going to have to do, it's just going to have to happen, period. So, but that growth to be more towards kindness and loving and support of others is huge, guys. Yeah. It's absolutely huge. Hopefully this all makes sense, because in my head now it's not, but I know it all relates back at the end. So
no, it does. I think the thing too is from a personal standpoint is knowing that and accepting that there are going to be people out there that are going to be hateful, and not living in this fantasy world where everybody's going to be like, oh, go get it. Like, we would love to see that. We'd love to eventually get to a point to that. But the reality is that there's just hateful people.
There is.
And
there will always be hateful people in this world, unfortunately.
We just need to come to the understanding that the majority of us aren't that. And for those one in, whatever the percentage might be, those one in here often people that come around and are negative or hateful, just know from, and I'm speaking to the viewers here, but people just need to understand that this is coming from something inside of them. And the moment that you can realize that, it's like, don't take it personal because somebody's hating on you or being rude to you. Honestly, the core, where this is really coming from is something within them.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they can remember that when those moments come, so that they can not take those too deep and just be like, well, they're dealing with something and I don't know what that is, but that's on them.
And that's a good point, because everybody's fighting some sort of battle, even the nicest people. And sometimes those are the people fighting the biggest battles, so that's a great point. Like, everybody's dealing with something, and you don't know how your action could negatively or positively affect that person.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know. I mean, we talked about, I'm pretty sure we talked about a few episodes ago, I accidentally, and I didn't mean to, made a girl cry. And I felt terrible. Yeah, I know. I felt terrible. And when I went in, I wanted to apologize to this person. I didn't know that I'd made her cry at that point. And I already was like, fuck, I need to apologize to this person. But I'm like, I want to do it in person. I don't want to call him over the phone and be like, look, I'm sorry. I wanted to be there in person and be like, look, I'm sorry that I was aggressive towards you. That was completely wrong on my part. And I know the conversation was a hell of a lot different with the owner, because that was the first words out of my mouth when she said, let's go talk.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have acted that way. Talked to my wife a little bit about it, and she just said, let's just pay it. They did the job. We didn't pay attention. It's just as much our fault as not. So simple things. Like, I even though I was like, look, I'm not trying to be angry with you, it just sucks. There was also the point that it's like, that was too far. You didn't have to go there. The kindness could have got me just as far as the negativity. So that's something I've been really working on with people.
That's a good, that's high level, right? Right there is one, knowing that, some people are just hateful.
Yeah.
And knowing that that's a projection from their own insecurities onto you. But number two is giving people grace and understanding that we're human beings, and that just because somebody is rude to you, knowing that, they make mistakes. You owned up to that mistake and took the initiative to go and say, hey, I apologize. Give people grace and understand that, especially if their usual character or usual mannerisms don't speak to the volume that they're talking to you in, or the way that they're making you feel in that moment, give them that grace and allow them to have that conversation, to be like, to redeem themselves, to say like, hey, like, my bad. Because that's what you did. You were aware of what you did. You came back and you're like, that's not who I am.
Well, and I could tell. I mean, I don't know the owner very well, but in that specific situation, you could tell as soon as I said that, the conversation flipped. I could see her whole face flip, and she's like, well, shit, now she was ready for battle.
Yeah.
And I de-escalated the situation the way I should.
From being what?
From just being kind. Being honest. Like, look, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, and the next time I went in, she was there and we talked again. Like, and she's an awesome lady. Like,
yeah, I love it.
I mean, not only do I not, like, I like my therapist, so I don't really want to get kicked out of their office right now. But two, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
For the 90% of it, or 99% even, it's unnecessary.
Right.
The level of intensity, that might need to change. But I will say this, to close this all off, guys, be kind. That's your challenge. I felt like that was pretty freaking obvious.
Yeah.
But I want to give you, I've learned a lot from you when it comes to wording and patience and kindness. We dealt with the situation, and the way you handled the situation, this was the beginning of the whole podcast getting started. The way you handled the situation was above what I could even think about. So that was a lesson for me right there at the beginning of us launching this podcast.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The beginning of launching this whole podcast, that right there was a learning lesson for me. That was another big turning point. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Between you and my wife, I've learned so much. Both of you are amazing with words, and it's phenomenal to sit and watch the two of you have a good argumentative conversation with somebody and win every time. Well, okay, win in the sense that you walked away not losing your temper.
There you go.
You may not win the conversation.
And not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
I take that as a win. If we can walk away from an argument and not be, I fucking hate this guy, I'm cool.
Yes.
I won.
Yes. I have to add that part in there. Winning in the sense that you didn't lose your
cool.
Just like a situation that happened not long ago with my wife that we talked about before this. By not long ago, I mean like yesterday. But her ability, yes, she was struggling, but her ability to stop was huge for me, because that's something I have been struggling with, is to stop a conversation when it needs to stop.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give myself a win for not reacting even more, causing a bigger issue.
Yeah,
so
that's a big win, dude.
That for me, that's a big win.
Because it would have been easy to.
It was, yes.
It would have been easy to get up in there and be like, "Yo."
Multiple times multiple times I pulled my phone out. I mean, it's just, but it's situations that I don't need to be in.
That's growth, buddy. I love that.
She had yeah. Anyways,
I love that. That's cool, man.
Thank you guys. Thanks. Challenge, be kind.
Yes, sir. Be kind, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
The Roundtable Podcast, where we talk to our personal growth, struggles, and journey.